guys, if you're new here, my name is Sam and I usually make videos about makeup, chronic illness, and whatever I want. But we have entered spooky season, or Sammoween, as my friend Chris has named it. And today I'm going to be starting a 31 days watch with me movie scenario thing. I would like to make this a yearly tradition, so I hope you will join me. How this is going to work is I'm going to watch at least one movie a day. I promise it's not going to be a ton of movies, just one or two. And I am going to kind of live post as I watch it on my Instagram stories. And at the end of the month, I will be ranking all the movies I watch in a tier list. None of these movies I have seen before except for the last 2 days. I will be starting my movies every day at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think that covers it all. If I think of anything else, I will mention it at the end, but let's dive into the movies. So on October 1st, we will be starting off with The Bird with the Bird with the Crystal Plumage. I have filmed this twice already, so my brain's a little... this will be on Amazon Prime. This is a movie that was very influential in the horror industry. It is an Italian director, and it's just a big deal. So I have been very curious to see it for myself. I don't know how scary it will be or anything, but I think it's important for me to kind of look at like OG horror and see, where some of my favorites were inspired. This movie is an American writer traveling in Rome is the only witness to an attempted murder by a sinister man in a raincoat with black leather gloves, though he is powerless to do anything to stop him. This is a favorite of Eli Roth, and I am a big fan of Eli Roth, so obviously I want to give that a shot. On October 2nd, we will be watching Green Inferno on Netflix. This is an Eli Roth film. A group of student activists travel to the Amazon to save the rainforest and soon discover they are not alone and that no good deed goes unpunished. I will say this is probably going to be incredibly graphic and gory given Eli Roth, which reminds me of something I forgot to say in the beginning. There's a website called doesthedogdie.com, and it will, without spoiling anything, tell you if any of your particular triggers like animal cruelty or SA or something like that is in the film. So that could be helpful because, like I said, I have not seen these movies, so I don't know if there's anything to warn you about in them. Moving on to October 3rd, we have Sinister II on Netflix. The more detailed description of this film gives a lot away if you haven't seen the first one, which I recommend watching if you haven't. A young mother and her twin sons move into a rural house that's marked for death. I heard it's not as good as the first. The first is top 5 horror movies for me. We'll see if this is good. I'm going to try not to compare it to the first one. On October 4th, we have The Ring 2 on Tubi. Tubi is a free streaming app, so you don't have to pay for or create an account. 6 months after the incidents involving the lethal videotape, new clues prove that there is a new evil lurking in the darkness. I don't know what took me so long to realize that I hadn't seen this movie. I think I kind of fell out of horror around the time this came out. I don't know what it was. I think it was right when I got sick. I kind of just lost interest in the genre for a while. On October 5th, we will watch The Blair Witch Project on Hulu. 3 film students vanish after traveling into a Maryland forest to film a documentary on the local Blair Witch legend, leaving only their footage behind. This is another classic I surprisingly haven't seen. I think I was a little worried because I heard back in the day that people who saw it in the theater were getting motion sick, and I have horrific motion sickness. So yeah, I was a little worried about that. But I love found footage. It's becoming one of my favorite subgenres in horror. I love Paranormal Activity, for example. So I'm pretty excited to see what this is about. This is a lot of people's favorite horror movie, or at least top favorites. I don't know what I'm saying. On October 6th, we will be watching Fresh on Hulu. The horrors of modern dating seen through one young woman's defiant battle to survive her new boyfriend's unusual appetites. I'm going to assume this is a cannibal movie. It looks like an artsy cannibal movie, so I've heard good things. October 7th, we're going to have 2 movies. The first movie, like I said, I'll start these at 8 p.m. So at 8 p.m., I will be watching Hellraiser on Hulu. I did not write down the description of this. A young woman struggling with addiction comes into possession of an ancient puzzle box, unaware that its purpose is to summon the Cenobites, a group of sadistic supernatural beings from another dimension. So this is not supposed to be a remake. This is not supposed to be a sequel. It's just supposed to be... It's just supposed to take place in the same universe, so I'm quite excited about it because I really like Hellraiser. The second movie we'll be watching that day is The Descent on Freevee. This is another free streaming app, no account or anything like that, so that is nice. A caving expedition goes horribly wrong as the explorers become trapped and ultimately pursued by a strange breed of predators. So I've heard this movie's terrifying. And while I'm not claustrophobic, I am claustrophobic when it comes to caves. Caves freak me out because I know there's legitimately no way out. So this will at least give me some anxiety. On October 8th, we will be watching House LLC on Amazon Prime. 5 years after an unexplained malfunction causes the death of 15 tour goers and staff on the opening night of a Halloween haunted house tour. A documentary crew travels back to the scene of the tragedy to find out what really happened. This is another movie I've seen on the horror subreddit say is terrifying. Found footage freaks me out the most if anything's going to scare me. So excited about this. On October 9th, we will watch Insidious II on Netflix. The Lamberts believe they have defeated the spirits that have haunted their family, but they soon discover that evil is not beaten so easily. I really like the first Insidious. I heard this one isn't quite as good, but I am pretty excited. We'll see if it holds up. On October 10th, we'll be watching Gojium Haunted Asylum on Amazon Prime. The crew of a horror web series travels to an abandoned asylum for a live broadcast. It soon encounters much more than expected as it moves deeper inside the nightmarish old building. I would like to give a shout out to one of my favorite creators, Possessed by Horror, for recommending this film as one of their favorites. I'm very excited. I think it's a Korean film. I'm not sure if it has subtitles or not. Either way, I'm fine with subtitles, so I'm excited to see this. This is also listed as one of, the best horror movies, so going to be fun. On October 11th, we have Run on Hulu. A homeschooled teenager begins to suspect her mother is keeping a dark secret from her. This, I think, is a thriller. I saw some bits of it on TikTok and it just looked really good, so I'm excited to watch this. October 12th, we have a classic horror story on Netflix. In this gruesome suspense film, strangers traveling in southern Italy become stranded in the woods where they must fight desperately to get out alive. So I've learned that Italian horror, like our first movie, is just really good and really grotesque. So I think this is at least inspired by Italian horror. That's what the trailer kind of implied. So I'm pretty excited about this one. On October 13th, we will watch The Field Guide to Evil on Hulu, a feature-length anthology film. They're known as myths, lore, and folktales, created to give logic to mankind's darkest fears. These stories laid the foundation for what we now know as the horror genre. This sounds amazing. I love anthology. I love folklore and folk tales, so this is one of the more exciting things on the list. I'm excited for everything, but this is I hope it doesn't disappoint me. On October 14th, we'll be watching Incantation on Netflix. 6 years ago, Lee Ronan was cursed after breaking a religious taboo. Now she must protect her daughter from the consequences of her actions. This is another suggestion from Possessed by Horror. It is another movie that is foreign, which I'm really into those these days. Different perspectives from different cultures of horror. It's super cool. I believe this has subtitles. I'm not sure though. But the trailer looked really good and like really creepy. I believe it's also a found footage film. That's going to be our second movie because I've done this like 2 times. I didn't swap the place on the list. The first movie, so at 8 p.m. on October 14th, what we will be watching first is Halloween Ends on Peacock. This is getting a dual release, so it'll be released on Peacock at the same time as it will be released in the theater, which I'm very excited about because I cannot safely go to the movie theater. The saga of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode comes to a spine-chilling climax in this final installment of the franchise. I don't really need to say much more. It's one of my favorite franchises. I'm just very excited for this. On October 15th, we will be watching No One Gets Out Alive on Netflix. After being forced to take a room in a boarding house, an immigrant in search of the American dream finds herself in a nightmare she can't escape. I love a good haunted house, and I think this is an interesting spin on it. You know, you come to America in search of your dreams and you find a nightmare. On October 16th, we'll be watching Uma. I hope I did not destroy that. On Netflix. Amanda and her daughter live a quiet life on an American farm, but when the remains of her estranged mother arrive from Korea, Amanda becomes haunted by the fear of turning into her own mother. As soon as I saw Sandra Oh in this, I was very interested because she's a phenomenal actress, and I think it's an interesting spin on horror. Like, it is it's a ghost, but is the ghost an actual ghost, or is it just your fear of turning into someone you don't have a great relationship with? I think it could be a really good story. On October 17th, we will be watching Raw on Netflix. Forced to eat raw meat during a hazing ritual at her veterinary school, a young vegetarian develops an overpowering hunger for flesh in all its forms. This is a French cannibal movie, and the trailer was quite interesting. It was very gory and weirdly sexual, which sounds right for France. It looked interesting though, very artsy, and we'll see how that is. On October 18th, we will watch Oculus on Amazon Prime. A woman tries to exonerate her brother, who is convicted of murder, by proving that the crime was committed by a supernatural phenomenon. The only note here I have is Mike Flanagan, say no more. I love Mike Flanagan. If you aren't familiar, he did The Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, and Midnight Mass. So check those out. I know he's done some other stuff too, but that's what he's probably most well known for. On October 19th, we watch Censor on Hulu. After viewing a strangely familiar video, Enid, a film censor, sets out to solve the past mystery of her sister's disappearance, embarking on a quest that dissolves the line between fiction and reality. I think this is kind of an interesting plot. You know, we have a film censor. I don't think we've seen that as the, main character before. So, on October 20th, we have Southbound on Hulu. 5 interlocking tales of terror follow the fates of a group of weary travelers who confront their worst nightmares and darkest secrets over one long night on a desolate stretch of desert highway. I'm really into anthology horror, so I'm quite excited about this. I got the vibe from what I saw that it's kind of like religious horror, which really fucks me up. On October 21st, we will watch We Summon the Darkness on Netflix. 3 best friends embark on a road trip to a heavy metal show where they bond with 3 aspiring musicians and head off to one of the girls' country homes for an after party. A slasher movie that has Johnny Knoxville. Absolutely. On October 22nd, we will watch Ouija, Origins of Evil on Netflix. In 1967 Los Angeles, a widowed mother and her daughters add a new stunt to bolster their seance scam business, say that 3 times fast, by inviting an evil presence into their home, not realizing how dangerous it is. I heard this movie is really good, and it's not even anywhere near like the crappy original Ouija I heard. This is super good. It's also Mike Flanagan, that could be why it's so good. On October 23rd, we will watch The Wretched on Netflix. A defiant teenage boy struggling with his parents' imminent divorce faces off with a 1,000-year-old witch who's living beneath the skin of and posing as the woman next door. I love a good witch movie. This was on a list of the best horror movies so far in 2022, and it takes place in Michigan. Hi. On October 24th, we will watch Hellfest on Netflix. On Halloween night, 3 young women and their respective boyfriends head to Hellfest, a ghoulish traveling carnival that features a labyrinth of rides, games, and mazes. They soon face a bloody night of terror when a masked serial killer turns the horror theme park into his own personal playground. If I remember correctly, Possessed by Horror also said this was a fun slasher. It looks like fun. Who doesn't like a slasher? The next 4 days are going to be 2 episodes each of a new series on Netflix called Native Curiosities. So this is a horror anthology series by Guillermo del Toro, who's incredibly talented, especially in horror. It features 8 unique horror stories that challenge the classical horror genre. 2 are del Toro originals, and the rest are written by other people, other authors, and directed by other people as well. I'm not familiar with any of these stories. I just know that the trailer looks so good. I'm so excited. So on the 25th of October, we will watch episode 1, The Murmuring, and episode 2, The Autopsy. On October 26th, we will watch episode 3, Lot 36, and episode 4, Pickman's Model. On October 27th, we will watch episode 5, The Viewing, and episode 6, Dreams in the Witch House. On October 28th, we'll watch episode 7, The Outside, and the final episode, episode 8, Graveyard Rats. Moving on to October 29th, we're going to watch The Exorcism of Emily Rose on Amazon Prime. Some of these will be available on other platforms. I saw a list, but nobody's sure of the date yet. And loosely based on a true story, a lawyer takes on a negligent homicide case involving a priest who performed an exorcism on a young girl. I have seen this movie, but it's been probably 15 years, so I don't remember anything besides the fact that it was terrifying. So I'm excited to see this again. On October 30th, I will be watching the entire Scream franchise because it is just a favorite and can't go this month without watching it. On October 31st, who would have guessed, we will be watching Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and Halloween Ends. I love to wrap up the season with this series. I don't like Halloween 2, 3, 4. I don't like those. I just like the new trilogy and the 1978 Halloween. So, as I mentioned, I will be watching these every day that I listed at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be live chatting through my stories as I'm watching it, little non-spoiler opinions on Instagram. I will be listing this infographic that I made on my Instagram feed, so you can always look at it. You could, catch up one day. You could go ahead of me if you wanted. At the end of the month, on October 28th, I will be posting a ranking video where I do a tier list ranking all the movies that we have watched this month. I'm excited about that. And I think I shared all my information. Like I said, I filmed this a few times, so my brain is a little... I hope you will join me. If you plan on it, let me know in the comments. I'm super excited. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. For the rest of October, I'll be posting on Tuesdays and Fridays, so you'll get an extra video every week. Come November, I'm back to my regularly scheduled content. And with that, I will see you guys next time.